Let us go live. Perfect. Welcome. We'll just give everybody a minute to join, as always. Hi, welcome. Welcome to my daily live. It's been a while since I've been on Instagram doing my lives. The last few days, I have been over on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. And as part of my daily lives, it's no longer just me anymore. I've been inviting coaches to come on and talk about the things that they specialize in, with the kind of general focus being how do we earn more and live better? So if you did not catch my earlier lives this week, go ahead and go to the Ladies Get Paid LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook pages. You can see really, really good interviews with Tess Waresmith. That was all about simple strategies for investing. And then we had Cynthia Orduña yesterday, and her specialty is about how do you kind of craft a multi-passionate life into a career to not feel like you have to compromise. Something she said that I thought was so poignant was, start with the kind of life that you want and build a career to fit that instead of the other way around, which is so often what we do. Now, as always, if you see me looking in different directions, that's because I'm simultaneously on Instagram Live as well as on LinkedIn. I should probably introduce myself though, right? Claire Wasserman here, founder and author of Ladies Get Paid. If you don't know us, well, now you do. We are an educational platform, global community, and a book that is all about helping women level up in their lives, specifically when it comes to money and work. So what's on Friday? So the ways that I've been doing this now is I interview coaches Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday is kind of my time to talk about the lessons that I learned for the week, sort of Founders Friday, so to speak, and and also answer any questions that you all might have. But the lesson, kind of the big lessons that I learned this week, it's actually about, hi, good to see you, Judy. I actually just got back from the doctors, and that was our second round of intrauterine insemination. Even if you are not interested in pregnancy or fertility, man, there are so many life lessons that I am learning right now in this process of trying to get pregnant and using science to get pregnant. So I'd love to kind of talk to you about the major things that I've sort of learned this last week and the last couple of months now, is this lesson of control, really, especially so when you are trying to get pregnant, at least, and I will speak for myself, when you're trying to get pregnant, particularly with science, okay? When you are taking extra medications, when you are giving yourself trigger shots, when timing is so important, when you come in every week for blood test and ultrasound, what it does is it gives you this illusion that you are putting in the work and therefore you will get the reward, okay? Like, we are increasing the chances that we can have a baby, but it's not by that much. It really isn't. And so every time that I take in action towards increasing my chances, I have to also remind myself that I am not God. Like, I'm not controlling the situation. I'm just increasing the opportunity that it happens. And I think the lesson that's applicable here beyond fertility, I mean, even just think about if you're applying for a job. You put in all of this effort to go get that job that you really want. You are applying to all of these places. You're hiring coaches. You're practicing your interview. You're working on yourself, right? But it's ultimately out of your hands. Whether or not you are accepted for that job is ultimately not up to you. And if you don't get the job, and if I don't get pregnant, and here's the analogy, the big challenge is, how do you not take it personally? Again, it goes back to this feeling like you put in all the work and therefore you should get the reward. And it doesn't, unfortunately, work that way. And so also, I think it's a question of expectations, right? So you're putting in the effort, again, whatever it is that you want, you're putting in the effort to get the raise or to get the job, or in my case, effort to get pregnant. And I just have to not expect anything from the process, and then it becomes this question of hope too. Hi, Lori. I'm talking Founder Friday. So the big lesson I learned for this week is balancing expectations and control, right? Doing your best to make something happen, being excited if it does, but also learning to be okay if it doesn't, or being okay with not being okay. And I think this goes back to some stuff I've said in previous lives about the complexity of the emotions that we feel when we're going through something that we really want. It's tough, right? There's a roller coaster to it. Like, for example, I found out that I was not pregnant, and the next day, a close family member told me they were pregnant. And that was a perfect opportunity to learn how to expand my capacity to hold multiple conflicting emotions. That it is absolutely okay, not only okay, it is a sign of like extreme maturity to be able to say, I feel both disappointed and devastated for myself, but also really happy for this other person. So if you're going through an experience, again, like let's say getting a job, right? Or you're not getting a job and your friend does, right? Or their startup, they're making a lot of money, but yours is like suffering through it. Like to be able to say, yeah, I might also have envy of them, but also be happy for them. To not try to compartmentalize our emotions, but rather just expand our capacity to contain all of them together. And that also there's a balance of you can acknowledge the feeling that you have without also getting lost in it, right? Without indulging it. So to be able to feel badly for yourself, but to not spend the rest of the day, throwing that pity part self. And it's just a really give and take, as you experience these things in your life, this roller coaster of what is that balance for you of again, sort of acknowledging the feeling without indulging the feeling. Um, and or, in my case of getting really excited of this baby's going to happen. Well, we don't ultimately know. I mean, lovely people are sending me messages saying, "You got this. This is going to happen this round." And I kind of want to say back that I appreciate the sentiment, but it's actually not helpful to say that, at least for me, because I don't know if it's going to happen this round. You don't know it's going to happen this round. And it'd be wonderful if you had that gut instinct, but I mean, ultimately, it truly, truly, truly is not up to us. And plus, I could get pregnant this round and lose the baby, So it's really this, I guess, working on not being so attached to the outcome of whatever it is that you are going for. And so, if we're not going to be so attached to this outcome, again, whether it is for me a pregnancy, a job, or a promotion for you, if we're no longer attached to the outcome, then what's the point? Like, what can we attach to? Like, we have to focus on something. And I would really say a great way to focus, like a healthy focus, is what am I learning during the process of this experience? What are the things that are getting me to grow? Regardless of what happens, regardless of what happens. So I wrote down a couple of notes that I'll close out here with, and looking at this week of if whether this baby happens or not, I have no control. So I have to let go of that. However, what have I gained during this process? A whole community of people. I truly have. I had some amazing women reach out to me last night, and she said that she and her husband are going through the IUI process and that nobody knows in their family. None of their friends know. I mean, literally, she has not told her mother, but she told me. I felt so honored to be able to be like part of her journey, this very special journey. And that, she didn't feel like people would understand her, but because I had put myself out there, now she recognizes she's not so alone. So I'm just very grateful both to her, but I'm also really grateful and proud of myself that I did put myself out there like that. Also, increased gratitude in general. For anybody who's gone through the trying to get pregnant experience, there's that dreaded TWW. It's called the 2-week wait. I had to look that acronym up. It's really terrible. So I just got knocked up at the doctor's right now. Uh, it's sort of so weird to say that. So I'm now starting my 2 weeks of just waiting. Not, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Having gone through this one time before, what it made me realize though was when I'm not in that 2-week waiting period, man, I am so grateful for everything in my life. I mean, just even drinking a cocktail. Like if you've ever had to abstain from something and then you go and do it again, like, oh man, that sweet, sweet sip of their first cocktail or glass of wine, for me. So, that increased gratitude might sound kind of ironic, but I'm grateful for it, right? And so that's another example of not being attached to the ultimate outcome, but rather finding joy and lessons and growth within the process. Learning more about my body. That's huge. That's huge. in taking this medication, the hormones, I've now doubled my follicle count. And that's got me to be more emotional. And instead of getting upset about it or, bothered by it, I just saw it as, wow, how amazing our bodies are and how fantastic science is and how lucky are we to live in 2023. I know there's so much more to be done to support maternal health, but dang, I am so grateful and also a little embarrassed that I didn't learn these lessons with my body before. I also think this experience of trying to get pregnant has really brought, to the forefront the need to heal my relationship with my body even more, and to not fight my body and to not fight my, things like if I had an extra burger last night, which I did, which I quote shouldn't have had. But you know what? The fact that I like gave in or like responded to my own desire is really radical in many ways. I mean, it's quite feminist. And so I don't know if, well, who's to say, but again, going through this pregnancy experience, regardless of whether or not a baby happens, I am so grateful that it's now taught me that I have more healing to do with my body in general. Other things, comparison to others, right? That's a big lesson that I've learned. It's so easy in life in general to want to compare ourselves to people, but particularly when you are trying to get pregnant or I'm even thinking about trying to start a business. I feel like those two experiences, both as a business owner and somebody on the fertility journey, it is really, really hard to not compare where you're at with somebody else, to not look with envy at another person who on the outside seems like they have it. Greetings from Kenya. They seem like they have it together, right? They had their baby or their business is doing well. Here's the thing though, you never know what's happening. What are the sacrifices it is taking that person to have that baby or to have that business? There's always a trade-off in every decision that you make in your life and every experience that you have. So, for example, I know there's a number of women out there, a number of people who have babies but are struggling to get pregnant with their second one. So and they have a very specific experience, and for many of them they feel quite alone because people look at them and they go, well, you already have one, right? So let us not, again, acknowledge that like judging is natural and comparison is natural, but that you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more underneath. So yeah. So anyway, what else did I want to say? And also I think just a lot of times any of the like negative emotion or anxiety that we might have around whatever it is. Again, for me and my lesson for this week, it's about my pregnancy, but for you, it could be about your job, about your finances. I'd be curious to ask yourself how much of this fear, this anxiety is because of the unknown, or are you actually getting really anxious about things you do know? And if it's about the unknown, just recognize that this is your way of trying to protect yourself from the unknown. But you don't want to protect yourself too much. Because sometimes if you protect yourself from the unknown, you're actually protecting or preventing yourself from opportunity. And kind of just allowing yourself to practice vulnerability, finding small ways that you can do that, right? So by sharing your story, again, whether or not it's fertility or it's looking for work, expanding community for yourself, putting your emotions out there and saying to people, listen, I felt both good and bad, right? Like you don't have to go on lives and do what I'm doing. It's obviously extreme. But if you can challenge yourself to do just a small thing that gets you to be a little bit more vulnerable in your life, I think you're just going to reap so many rewards from it. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, and it's going to be the very thing that connects you to a larger community. And that's where I've found everything in community, right? I found my business partner, my wife, my friends, So I just think to quote Arlen Hamilton, she said, be yourself so that the people out there who are looking for you can find you. And how do you be yourself? You be authentic. And what requires authenticity? Vulnerability. So my talk today, my Founders Friday, my lessons of the week, it wasn't so much about vulnerability, I think. I didn't mean it to be, but I would say if that's the takeaway that you have from today, that is a beautiful one to have. I so appreciate you all being part of this journey. I'm going to put up a post in just a minute of all of the coaches that we are having live this coming week. starting with Lucy Samuels on Monday, and she specializes in resume writing. So if you are looking for a new job or are thinking about looking for a new job, you absolutely want to watch that. But just as a reminder, I'm not doing these lives on Instagram anymore unless it's a Friday. It's all going to be on Ladies Get Paid, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and you can see previous lives there too. And if you are a coach and you help women earn more and live better, and you approach that in a different kind of way, we want to feature you. So, DM us, tag us. I'm also, you can find me on Instagram at Claire Gets Paid. And of course, always on LinkedIn too. So Claire Wasserman. Really excited for you all. I just am appreciative of your time with me today. And I believe in you. I hope you believe in you. Now go get paid. Bye, guys.